Death waits for no one, striking when least expected, claiming lives without warning or permission, and while most people spend their days avoiding the topic altogether, recognizing the warning signs could be the difference between being prepared or being caught completely off guard. The uncomfortable truth is that our bodies often signal impending death days, weeks or even months before it happens, but most people simply don't know what to watch for. These signals aren't mystical or supernatural. They're biological realities that modern medicine has identified with surprising accuracy. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 most reliable signs that death may be approaching, signs that doctors themselves recognize but rarely discuss with patients until it's too late. Whether for yourself or someone you love, this knowledge isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to empower you to make important decisions while there's still time. I strongly recommend watching this entire video without skipping any sections, as each sign builds upon the previous one. If you're short on time, simply increase the playback speed to 1.5 or 2 times speed, because when it comes to recognizing these critical warnings, missing even one detail could leave you unprepared for what's coming. So let's dive right into what doctors actually look for when determining if someone's time might be running out. Most people don't realize that their body starts giving away secrets long before the final moment arrives. And while we're often looking for dramatic signs, the truth is much more subtle. It's hiding in plain sight, in your bedroom. The first major sign your death may be approaching is significant changes in your sleep patterns. Now, I'm not talking about staying up late binge-watching your favorite show or hitting the snooze button a few extra times. I'm talking about profound shifts that seem to come out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how babies sleep all the time? Then as we get older, we need less and less sleep. Well, when death is approaching, this pattern often reverses dramatically. Your body might suddenly demand 14 or 16 hours of sleep a day. It's like your internal battery is constantly draining, and no amount of rest seems to recharge it. But here's the weird part. Some people experience the exact opposite. Terminal restlessness is what doctors call it. You're exhausted but simply cannot sleep. Your body fights against rest even though you're physically drained. It's like your brain is desperately trying to squeeze in as much living as possible while it still can. What's actually happening is your body is conserving energy for only the most essential functions. Your brain is saying, we don't have enough power to run everything anymore, so let's focus on keeping the heart beating and lungs breathing. Everything else? That gets put on the back burner. The really strange part, your day-night cycle might completely flip. Suddenly you're wide awake at 3 a.m. and falling asleep during dinner. Your circadian rhythm, that internal clock that's been with you since birth, starts to break down. Here's how to tell if this is serious or just a bad week. Normal sleep variations come and go. Maybe you have a stressful project at work or you're excited about a trip. But this is different. This change persists for weeks. It doesn't get better with your usual fixes. And most importantly, it comes with other changes we'll talk about soon. These sleep disruptions typically start appearing about 1 to 3 months before death. It's your body's early warning system, signaling that major systems are beginning to work differently. And unlike many other signs, this one is often noticed by family members before the person themselves realizes something fundamental has changed. So if you or someone you love has experienced these dramatic sleep changes that persist for weeks without explanation, this might be sign number 1 out of the 5 signs your death is approaching. But remember, one sign alone doesn't tell the whole story, which is why you need to know about the second critical sign that most people completely miss. Now, the second sign your body might be preparing for its final journey is something that many people actually celebrate at first: sudden, effortless weight loss. But this isn't the kind of weight loss you'd want to experience. I still remember visiting my grandmother in her final months. She had always been the woman who insisted everyone have seconds at dinner, who baked cookies just because it was Tuesday. But something changed. Food, once her greatest joy, became almost meaningless to her. The plates would come back to the kitchen barely touched, day after day. "I'm just not hungry anymore," she would say, her clothes hanging loosely where they once fit perfectly. By the time we realized this wasn't just a phase, she had lost nearly 30 pounds without trying. What my family was witnessing was cachexia, what doctors call a wasting syndrome. It's not just normal weight loss. It's your body fundamentally changing how it processes energy, and it's one of the most reliable indicators that death may be approaching within months. When your body knows it's running out of time, it shifts priorities in ways that don't make sense to us. Your digestive system, which requires enormous amounts of energy to operate, starts to slow down. Your metabolism changes at a cellular level. Your body is essentially saying, "We don't have resources to digest food anymore, so why bother eating?" This isn't like when you have the flu and don't want to eat for a few days. This is persistent. It doesn't improve with your favorite foods. Nothing tastes right anymore. Water might taste metallic. Sweet things might taste bitter. Your body is literally changing how your taste buds work. And the really confusing part? Sometimes in this process, people experience brief periods where they suddenly want to eat again. Families often mistake this for recovery. "Look, she's eating again. She must be getting better." But unfortunately, this is often just a temporary fluctuation in a longer decline. Here's what makes this different from normal weight loss. You're not trying to lose weight. There's no diet, no exercise program. The weight falls off even when you're barely moving. And it happens everywhere, not just your stomach or thighs, but your face, your arms, even your fingers might look thinner. What's actually happening is your body is conserving energy for only the most critical organs. Your digestive system requires about 10% of your daily energy just to process food. When resources are scarce, your body says, "Let's redirect that energy to the brain and heart instead." This sign typically appears 2 to 4 months before death, and it's progressive. It doesn't stop or reverse without intervention. And unlike voluntary weight loss, this comes with weakness, fatigue, and a complete lack of interest in food. So if you or someone you love has experienced dramatic, unintentional weight loss, along with a complete change in appetite, you've just identified sign number 2 out of the 5 signs your death might be approaching. But to get the complete picture, you need to understand the 3rd sign, which is perhaps the most commonly misunderstood by families and friends. The 3rd sign that time might be running shorter than expected is something that often hurts the people around you more than it hurts you. It's a psychological and mental transformation that's actually perfectly designed by nature, but can be devastating for loved ones who don't understand what's happening. When your body begins its final preparations, your mind undergoes a fascinating change. You start to detach from the everyday world. Things that once seemed critically important, that work deadline, the leak in the garage, even long-standing family conflicts, suddenly seem trivial and distant. This mental shift is often misinterpreted as depression or dementia, but it's actually something quite different. It's your mind protecting you from the stress of unfinished business. It's preparing you to let go of this world. What's happening in your brain is actually remarkable. Your neurochemistry is shifting. The parts of your brain that process fear and anxiety often become less active. The parts that handle social connections and daily stresses start to quiet down. You might notice a loved one suddenly becoming very philosophical or spiritual, even if they never were before. They might start speaking about deceased relatives as if they're in the room. They might have conversations with people who aren't physically present. But here's the truly wild part. Many people experience what doctors call terminal lucidity, a brief period of exceptional mental clarity that comes near the end. Someone who's been confused for weeks might suddenly recognize everyone, have perfect conversations, and seem completely like their old self again. Families often think they're getting better, but sadly, this clarity is often one of the final gifts before departure. The most confusing part of this sign is how it can look like normal aging or depression. The difference is in how quickly it happens and how dramatically it changes the person. This isn't gradual personality drift. It's a significant transformation that often occurs over weeks, not years. What makes this sign particularly difficult is that it often appears about 1 to 2 months before death, when the person still seems physically okay. Friends and family get frustrated. Why won't they fight? Why aren't they trying harder? But the truth is, this mental shift is actually a compassionate biological process designed to make transition easier. So if you or someone you love has experienced this sudden detachment from daily concerns, an unusual focus on the past, or dramatic mental status changes, you've identified sign number 3 out of the 5 signs your death might be approaching. I know this information is changing how you see things. That's why I want to ask you to smash that subscribe button right now. Because knowing these signs isn't just about predicting death. It's about living better with whatever time we have. And our channel is dedicated to helping you maximize every moment of your life, whether you have decades ahead or precious few days. So, hit subscribe and let's continue this journey together as we explore the 4th critical sign that most people completely miss until it's too late. Now, the 4th sign that the body is preparing for its final journey is something that transforms what we see in the mirror. These aren't the subtle changes that happen over years. These are visible, physical transformations that signal the body is conserving energy for only its most critical functions. This sign is a profound lesson in how our bodies prioritize survival. When time grows short, your circulation system, the network of vessels that carries blood throughout your body, begins to change its priorities dramatically. Your body makes a critical decision. We don't have enough resources to send blood everywhere anymore. Let's focus on keeping the core organs alive. The first thing you might notice is a change in skin color. Mottling is the medical term, patches of skin that look like marble, with purple, blue or reddish discolorations. This typically starts on the feet and hands, then travels up the arms and legs. It's your body redirecting blood flow away from your extremities to preserve your vital organs. Then there's the temperature change. Your hands and feet might feel cold to the touch, not just cool but genuinely cold, while your core remains warm. This isn't like being chilly on a winter day. This is your body abandoning the effort to keep your extremities warm because it needs that energy elsewhere. Your breathing pattern offers another crucial clue. Cheney-Stokes breathing, named after the doctors who first described it, is a pattern where breathing deepens and then shallows, with periods of no breathing at all. It might stop completely for several seconds before starting again. This irregular pattern happens because your brain's respiratory center is beginning to lose its perfect control over your breathing muscles. The nail beds, something most people never think about, can tell a critical story too. They might turn bluish or pale as blood flow decreases. The skin around them might look waxy or translucent. These changes aren't subtle. They're dramatic enough that even someone with no medical training can notice them. What's happening beneath the surface is even more profound. Your body is shutting down non-essential systems. Blood vessels in your extremities are constricting, allowing your heart to work less hard. Your body is conserving oxygen for your brain, heart, and lungs, the organs absolutely essential for continued life. This sign typically appears in the final weeks or days before death. Unlike the earlier signs which might be present for months, these circulation changes accelerate the process. They're your body's final preparations for the journey ahead. These physical changes carry a lesson most of us never consider. Our bodies are incredibly wise. They know exactly how to prioritize when resources grow scarce. They know exactly which systems to protect and which ones can be allowed to wind down. There's a profound intelligence in this process that's both humbling and awe-inspiring. So if you or someone you care about has experienced these circulation and breathing changes, the mottled skin, cold extremities, irregular breathing patterns or changes in nail beds, You've identified sign number 4 out of the 5 signs your death might be approaching. But there's still one more critical sign to understand, and it might be the most important one of all. Now, the 5th and final sign that the body is preparing to complete its journey is perhaps the most intimate and personal. It's a series of subtle communications that many people never get the chance to witness, or if they do, they don't understand what they're seeing. I need you to take a moment and close your eyes. Think about the last time you sat with someone who was very ill. Was there something different about them? Something beyond the obvious physical changes? A certain smell, perhaps? Sounds they made? Movements that seemed unusual? What you might have been witnessing were the body's final communications, its way of signaling that systems are shutting down in a specific, organized sequence. It's like an orchestra playing its final movement. Each instrument has its part, and there's a conductor ensuring everything happens in the right order. The sense of smell often provides the first clue. There's a distinct odor that sometimes develops as the body's chemistry changes. It's not the smell of poor hygiene, it's something different, something chemical. It happens because the liver and kidneys begin to process waste differently as they prepare to shut down. Then there are the sounds, gurgling or rattling breath sounds. What medical professionals sometimes call the death rattle occur when someone can no longer clear fluids from their throat and airways. It sounds frightening, but it's actually not painful for the person experiencing it. Their body is simply no longer expending energy on clearing these secretions. Your loved one might make unexpected movements. Their hands might pluck at the air or at their bed sheets. They might reach for things that aren't there. These movements aren't random. They're caused by changes in the brain's oxygen levels and chemical balance. What's truly remarkable is how organ systems begin to fail in a predictable sequence. The digestive system often shuts down first, followed by the kidneys. The heart and lungs continue working until the very end. The brain, remarkably, stays active much longer than we once thought. Perhaps most fascinating is what happens with the senses. Hearing often remains intact even when other senses have diminished. That's why healthcare workers always remind family members to speak to their loved ones as if they can hear everything, because they probably can, even if they can't respond. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to wait until a specific loved one arrives before they pass away? Or why some people seem to hold on until after a holiday or special date? This isn't coincidence. The body and mind maintain a remarkable connection until the very end. Understanding these final communications isn't about creating fear or anxiety. It's about recognizing that death, like birth, is a process, not just a moment. It has stages, it has a rhythm, and it has purpose. When you know what to look for, these final communications can be a gift. They allow us to provide better comfort. They help us know when to call family members to the bedside. They help us understand when it's time to focus completely on comfort rather than cure. So if you or someone you love has experienced these changes, the unusual odors, sounds, movements, or sensory shifts, you've identified sign number 5 out of the 5 signs your death might be approaching. Together, these 5 signs form a complete picture of how the body prepares for its final transition. Now that you understand these 5 critical signs, sleep changes, appetite loss, mental withdrawal, circulation changes, and the body's final communications, you have knowledge that most people never receive until they're facing death themselves. But here's the truth. This knowledge isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to empower you. Because when you can recognize these signs, you can make the most of whatever time remains. If you notice these signs in yourself or someone you love, don't panic. Instead, take practical steps. Have those difficult conversations you've been putting off. Discuss end-of-life wishes openly. Connect with hospice services that can provide extraordinary comfort and support. The peace that comes from being prepared cannot be overstated. Those who recognize and accept these signs often experience a profound sense of completion that those who fight against reality never find. Remember, every human who has ever lived has faced this journey. You are not alone in this. By understanding these signs, you're giving yourself or your loved ones the gift of a more peaceful transition. Don't be the person who ignores these signs and misses the opportunity for meaningful goodbyes. Don't be the one who wastes precious final moments in denial. Instead, use this knowledge to create beautiful final chapters. Before you go, the algorithm is already suggesting your next video, one that will build on what you've learned today and help you live more fully with whatever time you have. Click on it now, because in life and death, timing is everything.